welcome to EP Live. This is Thursday, January 18th, 2018. Can you believe we're in 2018 already and we are just racing through January? One of the big things that happens in January every year is the Consumer Electronics Show. I've gone to plenty of those. They're exhausting. But my guest today has been to a million of them, and he is a relentless road warrior who covers consumer electronics at every size, at every scale. For 25 years, Marc Saltzman has been a technology journalist for more than 30 publications, plus he's a prolific author, radio and TV host, public speaker, and the face of Gear Guide, which runs on Cineplex movie theater screens across Canada. Marc specializes in consumer electronics, interactive entertainment, automotive tech, and future trends. And I don't see anywhere in your bio that you were a part of EP and Reviews on the Run for a while, too. But Marc has been everywhere, and it's fantastic to have you here, my friend. How are you doing?
Yeah, I'm great, Vic. Thanks. I really appreciate this. And I loved how you tweeted, I guess it was a few months ago, one of the first interviews we did in the 90s. I think it was 97, 98, with my bad mullet and like this really dirty goatee. I was in Vancouver. You were Zoe Flower was interviewing me. That was so much fun. But Dude. Yeah, to answer your question, I'm doing great, and I'm glad to see you're doing the same.
Yeah, this is a trip. This is all new, the way that we're doing live content like this and incorporating some of the edited pieces and things that we have. But as you know, technology is just incredible for kind of changing things up and sort of rethinking different ways to approach getting your content out there, getting your programming out there. And this is super fun. So it's great to have a guest like yourself out there, an esteemed guest who has accomplished so much in your career, man. It's incredible.
Thank you. It means a lot, especially coming from you. Looking forward to talking about CES. Yeah.
Well, before we get into that, a lot of viewers of EP over the years and Reviews on the Run, we've reviewed video games and stuff together, have known you as a part of this family, but obviously you've got a lot of other things going. Catch us up on Marc Saltzman, 2017 as we sort of look into 2018. What are you up to these days?
Yeah, thank you. Well, after that amazing intro, there's not much more I can add. But I did cover gaming primarily when I started in the mid 90s. And since then, I'm still very much, keeping my hand in it. I wrote the sort of best games of 2017 roundup for USA Today, which was cool. And I still write for Common Sense Media and cover gaming for other publications. But I am more of a consumer tech guy, if you will, now covering gadgets and gear. A lot of my approach, Vic, as you likely know, is what I call breaking down geek speak into street speak. Yeah. So I know for you and your audience, they are, super game savvy. They love this digital lifestyle, but I often try to cater to maybe their parents, right, or their grandparents, and because hey, there's a need for it. They're scratching their head. They're like, what's Google Home? What's Amazon Alexa? What is it? What does 4K TV mean? So I kind of found my niche a few years ago in making some sense of it. In other words, I don't want to just celebrate technology, but I like to demystify it as well. And so pretty much the same thing that I'm doing now is what you read in the intro. I'm fortunate to be a freelance writer. I write for a bunch of magazines, newspapers, and websites from home. I host radio shows. The newest one is a syndicated show in the US called Tech It Out. Mm-hmm. It started July 15th of last year. So it's both a 1-hour weekly show as well as a 1-minute tech update, like an interstitial that runs daily. And so that's been a lot of fun. I love radio. There's something very warm and personal about radio where you can really sort of resonate with the listener, I think. And then
Absolutely.
Videos. Yeah. I've been creating a lot of content over the last while, both for social as well as traditional media. So yeah, busy, but I love it. And as you said, it does not stand still. It is the most exciting, both gaming and tech is such a fast-paced, exciting space to play in that every day you wake up and you don't know what's going to happen. And you can't say that for a lot of industries.
Well, that's what's keeping me rocking and rolling with this stuff as well. I mean, I love being able to communicate around this and talk with, creators in this space and talk with other experts in this space. It's incredibly enjoyable. And I think both you and I can probably assert that we feel very privileged to be able to have had careers doing what we're doing, right?
Indeed. I couldn't have said it better myself. I pinch myself every day because, It's so fun. It's a lot of work, as you know. Vic, you're the hardest working man I know. But you make it look easy, but we all know behind the scenes you're working 24/7. But it's worth it, and it's exciting space. I don't know how long, especially like for me, it's like also that freelancer mentality. I'm not with one station or one network or anything like that. I don't write only for, say, Washington Post or whatever. I'm completely on my own. So you never know when it's going to dry up. So you never say no, even if you have no time. You just somehow make it work, because, the alternative of twiddling your thumbs waiting for the phone ring is not an option. So it's a grind, right?
There's some free advice for everybody that's watching right now. And we do have the chat going right now. Blake is monitoring that. And I'll bounce back to this. It's a little tricky to have a conversation and look at a couple screens at the same time. But if you've got a question or a comment, you guys know what to do. It makes it much easier if you go in all caps and write comment or question or whatever. It'll make it easier for me to see it or Blake to see it. Blake will yell out and we'll get some stuff in here. But I think what we need to do is get into some CES discussion. And before we take a look at your favorites, did the power go out at CES this year? And were you there? What happened?
Oh, the irony of the power going out at a consumer electronics show. Yeah, so it was like this. First of all, the first day, Vegas had more rain in 24 hours than they had in 2 years combined, okay? So the first day there was flooding. So imagine spending multiple millions of dollars on your booth at a trade show, and there's buckets of there's huge garbage cans everywhere and like trash cans, and you're roped off. People can't get to all or any of your booth, or parts of your booth. So that was number one. Then the second day, yes, for about, I want to say 90 minutes or so, all of a sudden the power went out. And again, they locked the doors. Everybody was outside. Like, really? Then the third day, wait, it gets better. The third day, so CES is so big now that it's not just at the Las Vegas Convention Center, but also at surrounding facilities like the Sands Expo and the Venetian Hotel and so on. So they canceled all the buses that go between all of them because Vice President of the United States Mike Pence showed up.
Oh, my God.
Closed down the roads. So I had to walk. I walked, I think, 12 miles the last day because I had to. It's like the last thing you want to do. So it was, basically a bleep show, if you will.
You can say shit show on this show. That's fine.
Not on network TV right now. It was a shit show. Oh my
Cable
God.
TV's been saying shit like crazy over the last couple of weeks. It's been nuts. That sounds brutal. And the one thing that I've always kind of recognized about CES is that there are, lots to see and it's fun and there's an enjoyable sort of you get dunked into this tech culture, but it's overwhelming and you kind of have to dig. You have to find the diamonds, and I want to hear some of the diamonds that you found at CES 2018.
Sure. We'll start with the obvious ones, which would be big screen TVs.
Yes, we like those.
As a gamer and as a movie buff, nothing beats having a giant 150-inch screen in 4K or even 8K, which we'll get to in a moment. Yeah. So, of course, all the big players were there, the likes of Sony, Samsung, and LG showing off their wares. So Samsung had what's called the Wall. And it was an apt name because the entire wall of this part of the convention center was a TV. And it's got two cool things going for it. One is called, so the wall was micro LED technology. So instead of light emitting diodes that are behind the panel, which of course are the brightness that gives you the contrast and the brightness and the color and the clarity, but they're much, much smaller than the LEDs they use today. So as a result of a much more vibrant picture with better contrast levels, so whiter whites and darker blacks. But perhaps the cooler part of the wall from Samsung was that it's the world's first modular TV. So that means that you can add or remove panels as need be. So it was shown as a 146-inch TV, but you can tear it down and make it a smaller, say 80 or 100-inch TV, or make it even bigger. So I don't see a lot of, in-home applications for that. But if you're a storefront, for example, let's say you're a shoe store in downtown New York, you could have a massive display. So all those TVs make one image, by the way. And then you can, if you have a smaller space or you need to, rearrange the storefront, you can then pull off panels. So that's the idea. I mean, Samsung was purposely vague about, when and how much. But again, I think it's less for consumers, but it was pretty cool. I mean, the quality of this TV was ridiculous.
We've been seeing this kind of thing in science fiction forever. I mean, I can remember the wall screens in Total Recall, and you see that a lot where they create this idea of you're out in the wilderness or something, and then you realize it flickers and it's a television set. It feels like it's got to happen, and I guess it has, but it's going to take a few years before we can buy it.
And again, a lot of CES is beating their chest to show what their engineers have been working on behind closed doors, just to show they can do it. There may never be a real world application for it, or never may be a commercially available product, but they want to show what they can do. LG, for example, had a roll up TV. So it is, a big 80-inch screen, and then you press a button and it rolls up like a newspaper into a little box, which then you can bring, to the cottage or to, what have you, from one room to the other, just because they wanted to show. And it's not LG proper, by the way, LG Electronics. It's a subsidiary of theirs, also in Seoul, Korea, called LG Display. But same parent company. And I remember seeing a couple of years from a few years ago from that same company, a roll-up digital newspaper. Same idea. It's like a newspaper that you can roll up. You probably wouldn't want to swat a fly with it because it's probably a little bit more expensive than that. But it did have video playing on it and text that changes like an ebook reader.
Yeah, we can totally feel that the day of a bendable screen is imminent, right? Like foldable, bendable screen. We're going to have that in phones and all kinds of devices. But I heard about this Canyon thing that LG had. I kept seeing about it all over the place. Tell me about the Canyon.
Yeah, so this was like a cave that was at the or a canyon at the entrance of the LG booth, where you would walk through all of these concave TVs, all of these curved screens that filled up the entire wall and ceiling of the cave. And it had one image on it, such as a mountain view with, streams, and then it would change to something else, but they all were showing the same thing. And I don't mean same thing individually. They all, like the Samsung concept, where they all made up one image rather. But it was so immersive. Like walking through this thing was fantastic. So it was like 146. That's about 100. I think it was 146 TVs. Funny enough, that was the inches of the Samsung television.
And that was probably on purpose.
It's a sort of Korean conspiracy. So you've got north of 140 screens all showing something while you walk through it. So there's just masses of people walking through it, and it was winding. It wasn't just like a straight and narrow kind of cave. But the canyon, you're right, as LG called it, was pretty awesome. And then Sony was showing 8K TVs and a couple of others as well. So that's So as your viewers likely know, a 4K TV, which is now commonly sold now, is 4 times the resolution of HD. So instead of 2 million little dots that make up the image, it's more than 8 million. So now we're talking 4 times the quality of 4K. So but again, this is just to show they can do it. There isn't any content, or not a lot of content, that is shot with a special 4K camera. But at the end of the day, it's just so lifelike that, even nose to glass, you don't see any imperfections. The dots are so small that it's probably even better than what the human eye can discern. So
it's better than an
cool
iPad.
Yeah,
sort of blown up
again, amazing.
Incredible. I'm just waiting to see the devices that let you hook up a Super Nintendo to an 8K television. You know that that's coming.
I want to talk. It looks so crude because of the limitations of the But I hear you.
I want to talk a little bit about, we're going to talk about VR in a second here, but when you see screens like the fidelity of Canyon and the wall, does VR stand a chance against immersion that traditional screens, maybe bended and folded into things, will give us? I see this kind of new tech war that's going to happen between VR and current and future screen technology. So
it's a good question, but I think it's going to be a different experience altogether. Unless that screen is like where it's fully surrounding you, like a holodeck, if you will, on Star Trek. I don't think it can deliver the amount of realism that a good virtual reality experience can deliver.
Yeah.
And so we're talking, of course, with VR. It's fully immersive, 360 degrees, and not just in sight, but also in sound, and now with tactile feedback. So the ability to hold controllers and then soon wireless gloves that let you manipulate content that isn't really there, tricking the brain into believing that it is the real deal. I think that even with these giant 150-inch screens, you can still see the four corners of it. You still know it's a television, whether it's a 40-inch TV or a 140-inch TV. You know that you can see the rest of your house around it. So it isn't as immersive, in my opinion, as a good VR experience. But certainly better than playing on a small black and white TV. You know, obviously, it's pretty darn cool to be playing, your favorite first-person shooter on something like that. And NVIDIA, by the way, also had an amazing, huge 65-inch monitor, not TV.
Awesome.
Wow, which if we have time, we'll get to that. But that was there.
We got time. Let's talk about this automotive tech that you checked out as well. You saw some stuff from Toyota and Hyundai, right?
Yeah, so the running joke at CES is that it used to be an acronym for Consumer Electronics Show, but it's really turning into the Car Electronics Show. And funny because it's on the eve of the Detroit Auto Show. So it's not like early January doesn't already have a big convention for automakers, but they all swarm to CES to show off what they're working on. And as you likely know, tech is becoming an increasingly important part of the car purchasing priority for the buyer. In fact, after price, it's now tech. It's ahead of like mileage and fuel efficiency and things like that.
Wow.
So
amazing.
So that being said, CES is a great place to see the future of vehicles and where we're going, i.e. autonomous or self-driving cars. So I was in a self-driving car with Mercedes, but what I think you're referring to is Toyota's e-Palette concept. So this wasn't at the show, but they did have some meetings about it in these cool videos. But the idea is this, that in a couple of years from now, when self-driving vehicles are on the road, they're not just going to be for taking you from point A to point B, but also for ride sharing. So Toyota announced a partnership with Uber. So the idea is that you're in, say, San Francisco, and there's going to be a driverless car that's picking up passengers. You may be facing one another in the car when you sit down that may fit 4 or 6 people facing each other. And it's going to take you where you need to go. And it's all controlled by voice when you're in the vehicle or by an app or a combination of the two or a smartwatch. But the idea is like Google Maps, you say where you want to go. But it goes one step further. Toyota was showing that this e-Palette could also be used for mobile storefronts. So you want to order a pizza, and they have a deal with Pizza Hut. Then a driverless car comes to you, and then you take it out of the vehicle. You may have paid in advance, like an Uber, like where it's your credit card or what have you is already on file, and you're good to go. And there's a camera that confirms it's you, and so on. But they also showed in this video a mobile shoe store. Sticking with that analogy earlier of a shoe store, but the idea is that instead of you going to the mall to shop for shoes, you open up an app through Amazon, again, another partnership that was announced with Toyota, and that the shoe store comes to you. So you're, sitting on a park bench or you're outside of your home, you go up and you try on some sneakers, and then you pay and it takes off.
I'm just thinking of all the human on robot crime that's going to happen in the future. There's going to be, and people are mugging robot cars to steal shoes and pizzas. It's just going to be all over the news pretty soon, I think.
It's a good visual, yeah. So that is the idea, though. And, I think it's going to be similar to, all kidding aside, to the Amazon delivery drones, where they will have cameras that will use AI to confirm it's you. And then, on the back end, it's going to use an algorithm to confirm it's you. There may be other kind of biometrics to confirm it's you before, and to ensure that the process that you're paying for it. But yeah, you bet there's going to be a whole new wave of theft. But very cool.
The robots will have BB-8 arms that have tasers on them, though, right? So if somebody comes up and tries to come up, and they'll be electrocuted people all over the place. So when does Toyota say that, like, they're doing deals with partners and stuff? When does Toyota say that this stuff is happening?
So 2020 is what they said. They're gonna be showcasing this at the Tokyo Olympics in 2020. But I don't see it. I don't see us like on North American roads, for example. I don't see self-driving cars that quick, like fully autonomous. There's different levels. So that's called level 4 autonomous, where it's as if like fully controlled and driven without any human intervention at all. I still think we're a couple of years away from it. I think the technology is almost there, but there's a lot of legislative hurdles and insurance implications. If a self-driving car gets in an accident, who's liable? So there's a lot of question marks there.
I can't wait for these self-driving cars, but I just always think of my printer and how much bullshit my printer gives me. And like, we can't get the printers to work properly. How are these self-driving cars going to be safe?
Right?
You know?
Well, it's funny you say that, because a lot of people, and I give speeches about the future and about robotics, and the one question I always get was like, what about human jobs? Like, what about all the jobs that robots or self-driving cars, for example, are going to replace? But I remember this, I don't know how accurate it is, but I remember this stat from IBM's, the head of the IBM Watson department, the AI division. And she said that for every job that a robot replaces, it creates 4.5 new jobs on average. But they're just different jobs. So that could be the guy that comes and unjams the car, the printer, to hear a story. And that's going to be a job where we're going to have on the side of the road, there's just going to be all these like broken down self-driving cars that aren't
need to be repaired. That's probably an amazing, like, honestly, if we've got any young people that are watching this right now, robotics and automobile engineering are probably two incredible divisions to go into, because they're merging. And if you've got some repair skill that way, you're going to be owning a couple houses and doing quite well for yourself in a few years, probably.
And because you won't need to buy a car in the future, you're going to have that much more to put towards your house anyways. There's no need to have a car. I mean, even now with Uber, it's so cheap. Like, why do you need a car, really, you know?
Well, it feels like we're in this, like, why do we own things, period, kind of sort of, you know, moment. And I don't know if it's just going to keep evolving from there, but we certainly don't need to buy the movies, and soon probably game streaming will be very legitimate, and music streaming and all that stuff, and ride sharing and Airbnb-ing, and it's an amazing sort of revolutionary idea, this thing of like not owning a lot of stuff, isn't it?
Yeah, it's a great point. And do we really need to? I remember when music streaming became popular a few years ago, like, well, if they can fix the audio quality, and they have somewhat, you know, I might be into it. But I was thinking, but then I don't own it. I'm only renting the music. For most people, that's fine. They're like, well, why would I need to? If you have, you know, through your Google Home speaker, 30 million songs on demand, I guess you don't really need, or you shouldn't really care whether you own it or not. You're just leasing it, right? So I could see the same thing with cars and homes. And hey, if the way prices are going for homes, you know, I can see that happening, especially where both of us live. How can a normal person afford a house, right? So
and I think it is kind of leaning into this idea, like if every house has a 146-inch wall TV, and you know, like all the same stuff is in there, and everybody's got a tablet, and they can just read whatever they want and watch whatever they want, and it's kind of strange to think of, because we both grew up in this era of you know, mass consumerism and acquiring as many things and collecting as many things. I'm looking on your bookshelf, and I don't see many other books other than the ones you wrote.
That's right. How did you know? Those are the books that I wrote. That's so funny you say that. Yeah,
so you probably have most of your stuff on a Kindle, right?
Yeah. I love digital. My wife, on the other hand, she's old school. She prefers paperbacks and hardcover books. But yeah.
I got a record player for Christmas, and it has been a new joy, a rekindling of a joy of putting on an actual album and listening to it. It's been cool.
Yeah, well, there is something about the warmth of vinyl, and it probably also is a nostalgic thing, which is hard for someone who didn't grow up with it to have that same level of appreciation. So that might mix in together with the warmth of vinyl and the liner notes, you know, like lying on my bed reading that. So yeah,
I'm cool. I'm happy that I'm showing my 5-year-old daughter, who is just gonna like watch all of this evaporate, you know, as she grows up. She's gonna see that there used to be records, you know, which is kind of crazy. But anyways, let's talk a little bit about the always connected PCs. You saw one from Asus. Is it Asus or Asus? How do you say it?
Yeah, it's most people say Asus, but it is Asus. Yeah,
Yeah.
you're right. So ACPC is going to be, I think, a new term, a new acronym you're going to hear more about, and
Hmm.
it refers to always connected personal computers. So these are a new breed of laptops, mostly powered by Qualcomm Snapdragon processors, 835, which is the same chip inside of a Samsung Galaxy phone.
Okay.
But the performance actually is surprisingly decent. No, it's not going to be for gamers. But here are the three advantages to an AC PC, whether it's from Asus or Lenovo. They also had one at CES, or HP. And that
Yep.
is number one, amazing battery life of over 22 hours.
Wow.
So 22 hours of video streaming, no less, Asus says. So
Wow.
that's probably 2, 3, or even 4 times better than what your laptop today can do. So
Right.
these new chipsets can sip rather than gulp electricity. The second thing is, as it's called, always connected PC, is that it's always on the internet through cellular. Now that part is optional, but it will support a SIM card or an eSIM, much like what's in an Apple Watch. So you do have to pay an extra data plan, but that means that you don't have to look for a Wi-Fi hotspot. You're always online if you want
Okay.
it. That part's optional. And then the third part is instant on access. So like a smartphone, the computer does not boot up. You just touch it to wake up. And
Right.
that's essentially what an ACPC is. Whether or not that acronym catches on, this is a new breed of computers. And Intel, by the way, is involved in some capacity. They have their own ACPCs, focusing a little bit more on connectivity than battery life. But it's very exciting because in the end, consumers are going to win. That
Well,
Asus one.
you can really kind of feel like the smartphones are so snappy and so quick to sort of boot up and get into different apps, and then you go to your computer. It doesn't matter how advanced your computer is, but there's always a wait, and when they're
Right.
updating, and they're beefy, and they can handle a lot of stuff like HD video editing or 4K video editing and stuff. And I can't imagine that ACPC is going to be good at that kind of thing.
Yeah,
But
probably not.
you do wait a lot, and you can feel like, wait a minute, let's merge some of the thinking, some of the uh, the bare bones efficiency that smartphones and other things have with the way that they can serve up information can absolutely be applied to more computing.
Yeah.
I would
And
imagine.
the Asus, yeah, absolutely. And the Asus model, by the way, is called Zenago.
Yeah.
And sorry, my bad. Novago. Zen
Hmm.
is their other brand. But Novago is a 2-in-1 as well. So
Okay.
it's a convertible laptop. So it converts from a laptop to a tablet and back again by just bending back the screen, which is pretty cool. So it is kind of a best of both worlds thing, and then not breaking the bank. They're saying $799 when it comes out in a few months for
Yep.
a 22-hour laptop with instant on access and optional cellular connectivity. So this is a pretty big deal, I think. And that was one of the cooler things I saw at CES. May not be the sexiest of
Yeah.
gadgets, like compared to the robots and all that, but a suitcase that follows you and stuff. But I do
Yeah.
think that very practical application, as long as you don't expect, as you said, to do some hardcore video editing on these things, or as long as you're not looking to play, a Call of Duty or what have you.
Yeah.
But most people don't. They use their computer for social media, word processing, and web browsing.
And
Right?
are they running Windows 10, or what are they running?
Yeah. Yeah,
Yeah.
sorry, I didn't mention that. Yeah, these are Windows computers.
Okay.
Absolutely. Yeah. But again, the
Cool.
processor may be different. It may be a Snapdragon. This is Qualcomm's second kick at the can. They did not have any success a few years ago with Windows RT, if you remember that. It
Yeah.
came out around the same time as Windows 8, but it was an underpowered computer alternative that was less expensive. But
Right.
now I think the mobile chipsets have come that far along that I was really impressed with the performance. But
Awesome.
I saw the Asus and I saw all three, the Lenovo, HP, and Asus one, and yeah, it's pretty speedy. I was impressed.
Very cool. We have a big move happening with VR, and it's something that we've been asking for a long time. Now it's completely wireless, and you've got a couple of examples, a couple of ideas.
Yeah, so probably the less exciting one is for HTC Vive.
Yeah.
They did show off at CES a new wireless kit
Yep.
for the HTC Vive and the HTC Vive Pro. So
Yep.
that's obviously a PC-centric full VR platform with room scale and everything, like, you can move
Why is
around.
that?
And
Why is that one less exciting? That sounds awesome
Okay,
to me.
okay, it sounds good.
The Vive is pretty rad. I have one and it's
Yeah.
really cool. Yeah.
Less exciting compared to the one that I'll talk about in a minute.
Okay.
But yeah, no, still very cool. I think both Oculus Rift and HTC Vive for version 1, I think they're great.
Yeah.
There maybe there isn't yet a killer app where it's like you must play this VR game because it's going to change your life.
Totally.
But we're getting there, and I think the value proposition is more justifiable now. The prices have dropped. You still need a pretty beefy computer with, obviously to run these VR headsets. So it's still expensive, but the price of the hardware of the devices themselves have dropped. So
Do you
I think
have
it's
a
cool.
favorite between the two? Because last year I've tested big chunks out of all three of them, and I think the PlayStation VR actually is the most. It's the one that makes the most sense for most consumers out there because you don't need all the extra stuff. You just get your PlayStation 4 and you plug it in, and there's some good software there. But it's doesn't have the horsepower. But out of the Oculus and the Vive, what do you like?
Yeah, it's if you asked me this a year ago, I would have said HTC.
Yeah.
But I think Oculus has swung back. But I'll agree with you. PlayStation VR, when I had a staycation over the holidays, and when I look at which headset I use the most, it was PlayStation VR because of how accessible it is.
Yeah.
I was playing a lot of, I don't know if you've played Shooty Fruity, but it's so fun.
Okay.
It's kind of like, it's an independent game. It's kind of a mix between Job Simulator and a first-person shooter. You work at a supermarket, and the fruit comes alive, and they start approaching you like a big rolling watermelon or bouncing cherry. And you have to.
Sounds amazing.
So fun. And you have to grab weapons. Weapons come. You're at the cashier. You're at the cash register, and the weapons start coming to you, and you just start. You have to stay alive.
That sounds great.
It's so fun. Anyways, yes, that's available on all the platforms, but I've been playing it the most on PlayStation. So that's a good segue into why the HTC Vive wireless kit that they announced at the show, with no price yet, by the way, or availability announced. Why it's not as exciting as the one that I want to talk about now, and that's the Lenovo Mirage Solo. Why is that exciting if you're into VR? It is the first standalone, or as they call it, self-contained VR headset.
Yeah.
No phone is needed like Samsung Gear VR or Google Daydream or Google Daydream. No,
Daydream, isn't it? Yeah.
Right. No console is needed like PlayStation, and no PC is needed as you do with the Oculus or Vive. It is a standalone VR headset that is Wi-Fi enabled. It has some local memory, 64 gigs of flash memory, but you can add a micro SD card if you run out of room. And you access the Google Daydream store wirelessly, but there is a built-in processor. It is a standalone VR solution. So you get a remote with it. It looks like a mobile VR headset, so it's a lot smaller, like a Samsung or a Daydream. And but it has games built in that you can download. So I think that it solves one of the biggest barriers of entry for people, is that you don't need any other hardware to get going, nor cables running everywhere. I don't like that for Oculus or HTC.
You're absolutely correct. It's like VR built this platform, and there is now a hardware war between these VR headsets, but then they also kludge a whole bunch of other hardware, whether it's a phone or a console or PC, into that equation. And so if VR is really going to take off, I fully agree with you. It's got to be a self-contained device. You pay the one price, you get VR. You shouldn't have to plug in a whole bunch of other things.
The only downside that I can see, and the price, by the way, is only, they say, less than $400 US. That's not so bad there. But the only downside is the controller you have is more of a mobile controller like you would have with a Samsung or a Google, where it's
And it doesn't have the horsepower of the other guys either, though, right?
Right. But it does have some sensing of, it doesn't have the power. I mean, the games that I played were decent. But they're not going to give you the same level of detail and immersion that a PC version will. So I think the two can coexist. But hey, I would love to throw that in my suitcase when I travel, and I'm not without my phone where I have to snap it in and I don't have my phone. I love this thing. So I thought that was one of the cooler things that I tried at CES. So it's from Lenovo, and that's coming as early as this summer.
Awesome. Now you've got some PCs you want to talk about as well. How the hell does a personal computer make any kind of noise at a consumer electronics show in
It's
2018.
hard, yeah.
Yeah.
If you're a gaming PC, then the geek that I am, I still got excited about it. So
Yeah.
Asus, going back to them for a moment, they have their
Yeah.
ROG, or Republic of Gamers.
I've been a fan of the
computers.
Asus line. I've
Yeah,
got one
yeah.
that I use, and it's been very solid. Yeah.
Yeah, I used to be like all Alienware and a little bit of Voodoo, which I guess was part of HP. But
Yeah.
yeah, so Republic of Gamers has been awesome. Yeah, so they had some pretty cool stuff. But the one that I wanted to mention was Project Spark from from Digital Storm. So this is a 12-inch tower that it was very small but very powerful. It had the highest end 8th gen Intel Core processor with tons of RAM, of course, the latest NVIDIA GeForce, I think it was a 1080 in there, and lots of solid state drive storage. So I think it was 512. Oh, no, it's actually supported 3 different SSD slots. So it was customizable, it was modular, a tiny little tower that had some amazing gaming performance and liquid cooling,
almost
quiet.
like a game console kind of size?
Yeah, that's fair. Yeah, actually even smaller maybe. I think a PlayStation 4 Pro or an Xbox One X, I think it's even longer than 12 inches. I could be wrong.
Yeah.
There's a joke in there somewhere.
Yeah, yes, there is.
But Project Spark, for a little guy, like you can bring it to a LAN party or connect it to your TV, then bring it to your monitor in another room. So that one was quite impressive. But yeah,
are they jacking up the price to give you all of that smaller size?
They have not announced pricing. Again, or to show that they can do it, and they don't want to show their. I can understand they don't want to show their cards too early because there's other PC makers that are there that are going to see what they're doing. They're going to try to match the specs and then undercut them. So I get it. But so they did not announce it. They said, I think, by the summer. So yeah, if you're a PC gamer, there was some great stuff. Razer mice and with a built-in charge pad, like a, what do you call it, inductive magnetic charging. So you never have to, so that powers the mouse and your phone if you put it on the side of it. There was a lot of mechanical keyboards. And yeah, if you're a PC gamer, then CES had some cool stuff for sure. But I like that little Project Spark guy. Yeah.
That sounds cool. Now, NVIDIA is getting into the big displays as well. Tell me about the big format, the BFD.
Yeah, right. Or BFGD. BFG, which means something else in video game world.
Yeah, for sure.
So big format game display, perhaps, or BFD. So these are massive 65-inch monitors that have a lot of speed under the hood with the the NVIDIA technology, the G-Sync and the Shield technology. So Asus had one, a few other companies had one, 65 inches, 120 hertz refresh rate. I was playing games on it. I think it was PUBG or one of these first-person shooters that was so fast. It was actually too fast. It was so good. Like the response times were unbelievable. So these are 4K HDR 65-inch gaming monitors, 65 inches.
Awesome.
So I'm like, I don't even, they of course did not mention price, but it's going to be ridiculous with those specs under the hood. Again, we're not talking about a 65-inch TV that you want to connect your computer to. This has, the resolution of a monitor with the speed inside because of the NVIDIA stuff. So really cool. Yeah. So I played it for a while at the Asus area. They were at the Encore, which is part of Win, where they had the ROG room and stuff like that. So yeah,
is there that much of a difference between like an LG OLED and one of these NVIDIA big displays?
Yeah, I think because of the screen tearing, because they address all of the speed issues, you need the refresh. As every millisecond counts.
Yes.
Online, especially. So when
there's no lag and it's fresh and all the pixels display at 120 hertz.
Absolutely, and with and high HDR or high dynamic range for even better contrast and brightness and more vivid colors. Crazy. So I think there's 3 or 4 of them that NVIDIA had at the show at different booths. I only saw and played on the Asus one. But if you're a gamer and you have deep pockets, then this summer, it's going to be pretty sweet. And of course, there's other, I saw 3 monitor setups, with games that support it, like a Forza or what have you. So there was a lot at the show if you're a gamer. Yeah, it was a pretty wild CES this year.
Did you see any sexy robots?
I didn't in person. but I was invited to this like cocktail hour thing at a nightclub, and I didn't go. And then I saw video online afterwards of these like pole dancing robots. Yeah, no. I guess I'm showing my age when the only robot I played with was an Aibo dog at the Sony booth. It was like the robotic dog. Oh, I was sad. In Vegas, no less. But,
so let's talk about smartwatches right now. I finally broke down and bought an Apple Watch, the third edition. I'm a fan. Are they taking off? Are they a big deal? Is it something that people should start to think about? If they're somewhat interested.
So they certainly are more appealing today than they were when they first debuted. Like with the Apple Watch, for example, it came out, 4 years ago. It was a decent product. It was a nice to have, not a need to have. Then a year later, they added a waterproof design and a GPS chip. So it had greater accuracy for activities and things like that, and for mapping. Now they've got cellular connectivity, which is now truly, not that many of us would ever do it, but you could leave your phone at home and go for a jog or go for a walk. And if you get a call or a text, you're fine. You do have to pay for that. So I think it's come a long way. I still think that a lot of people question the need when they have a phone in their back pocket, so I still see it as an addendum to a phone, not a true replacement to one, but give it some time. Between a smartwatch and like some augmented reality glasses that we may be wearing in a couple of years from now, where it is a computer that you can ask Google a question or send a message, with your voice, and you've got a watch that does the same. We may, I'm not one to say that that's it. The smartphone is the ultimate gadget you'll ever have. It could be replaced eventually with wearable.
Yeah, I don't think they had iPhones in Mass Effect, right? They didn't have that. They had some kind of sort of sleeve-based technology. Was it called the multi-tool or something?
I don't remember. I remember, is that the last one, the Andromeda one? Or
no,
I'm trying to earlier ones. Yeah.
We're trying to scrub Andromeda from our memory. We're thinking about the other ones. So other than
we're going to go from handheld, we're going to evolve from handheld to wearable to embeddable eventually.
Yeah.
Where we have all the stuff built in, right? Why have a middleman, like something that you need to put on your wrist or what have you? But we're still a few years away from it. But yeah, just to quickly wrap up your question. Yeah, I think watches are coming into their own. It took a couple of years. I would like more selection. We've got like the Android Wear ones, which are far and few between, and then Apple Watch, which dominates the category. But I would still like a few more pretty cool players in there. We'll see.
Yeah, because part of why you would want to watch, and this is a weird tangent, but you want it to feel like a piece of fashion that makes you different, right? And if they all are square or circle and that's it, then it kind of defeats a purpose there. But apart from walking 12 miles to get to CES and being caught in floods and power outages, what was your favorite thing about this year's CES?
Wow, that's a good question.
Yeah.
So in years past, there has been, in some of the years, there's one product that's like, oh my gosh, this is the game or the product of show, or at E3, right? The game of show.
Yeah.
I didn't feel that this year. I just think overall the bar has raised. It's so big that you can't see everything. But from what I did see, I just think overall, whether you're into gaming or you're into just home entertainment or audio or wearables, 3D printers, it was a really good show overall. Fewer products, I think, instead of but higher quality ones overall. So there wasn't like a best of show for me or one moment. I guess a highlight on a personal level was it was a lot of fun to meet Iggy Azalea at a Monster event, and then she gave a shout out to my daughter on social media. So I won some good dad points there. And she tweeted, she retweeted my stuff, and that was pretty cool because I got all of a sudden like 500 new followers in in one day. I'm like, what happened? So that was fun. I'm not a huge fan of her music, but it was cool. There wasn't one product. Last year though, the product, I keep saying game of show. I'm thinking about E3.
It's ingrained.
Last year, I know, right? Last year there was a product. It was like a smartphone that had a built-in what's called a spectrometer. It would analyze the molecules of a product. So if you pointed it at a piece of fruit, at a leaf, at a pill that fell out of a pill bottle and you didn't know what it was, it would tell you what it was. It would analyze the molecules in real time and show you on the screen what it is.
Holy shit, that's cool. That's total Star Trek right there.
I know, including a breakdown of it, like the sugar levels and the carbohydrate.
Wow.
it was amazing. It was an Israeli startup company. So that was like 2016. Sorry,
Okay.
2017 CES. So my point was that there wasn't one of those kinds of things in 2018 that made me say, like, shut the front door. This is the future. But I guess if I had to answer it, automotive tech was pretty cool.
Awesome.
It's an area that I keep studying more and more about, and it's really coming along. The fact that you're going to be driven around soon without you having to do a thing.
Well, that rocks. That was a nice, long, deep dive into technology with our friend, Marc Saltzman. We have to do this again, my friend, maybe when it's a little bit more specific about one thing or one new trend or something like that, so we can sort of dive deeper into an idea. But I love having you on, man, and we got to get you back soon. And
Thanks,
I hope we see each other face-to-face, either in Toronto or Vancouver or Los Angeles very soon.
Looking forward to it. I hope so as well, Vic. All the best. Happy, healthy New Year, man.
Thank you. You too, brother. See you soon. All right, guys, we are going to be moving on to a brand new segment that we've started for season 28 of Electric Playground. It's called This Day in Everything Cool. Welcome to This Day in Everything Cool for January 18th. On this date in 1974, the premiere of an incredibly influential TV series for fans of genre entertainment took place, The $6 Million Man, featuring Lee Majors as former astronaut Steve Austin, who crash lands and becomes tragically injured and then repaired through bionic implants. The idea of a cyborg outfitted with incredibly complicated and pricey technology was pretty sensational stuff in the 70s, and the show became a massive hit, lasting several seasons and spinning off a whole other series called The Bionic Woman. The idea of a human with superhuman augmentation seemed so crazy back then, but now, as recent news stories tied to the launch of the Deus Ex games have showcased, the $6 Million Man doesn't seem like science fiction anymore. On January 18, 1896, the very first X-ray generating machine was unveiled by scientist H.L. Smith. X-rays themselves had been discovered a year earlier, and the invention of the first X-ray generating machine created a revolution in medicine. X-rays are obviously used in countless other ways, including various scientific fields, manufacturing, and for security, which is apparent for anyone who's ever gone through an airport checkpoint. On January 18, 2011, Little Big Planet 2 was released on the PlayStation 3. Media Molecule followed up the success of their first play, create, and share sensation with lots of really cool refinements, like being able to build levels in games across many more types of genres. There was also an explosion of great downloadable content and partnerships with intellectual property like Metal Gear Solid, as well as DC and Marvel Comics. The story of the game dealt with our sack boys or girls doing everything they could to save Craft World from the nefarious Negativatron, and the game featured terrific visuals and an excellent soundtrack. LBP2 was a big seller and a critically acclaimed title, but Media Molecule decided to hand over the reins of the franchise to Sony and focus on other games like Tearaway and Dreams. Love you guys at Media Molecule, an incredible company. Little Big Planet, super, super cool game. I would love to see Little Big Planet 4 come to the PS4, but I would also love to see an up-resed, remastered version of Little Big Planet Karting, which had some incredible ideas. That was from the rest in peace to United Front Games. Awesome stuff, but right now it is time for a buried treasure. Got a great buried treasure. It's Freedom Force, which was developed by Irrational Games, which went on to become a big-time developer with the BioShock franchise, and then they kind of disappeared, and we don't really know what's going on with Irrational. But back in the day, they made this Freedom Force game for the PC, which was a strategy RPG type of experience where you can customize and create your own superhero and send them off into battle. And they built a really cool, complicated comic booky story around this. And you could really go to town on customization, and man, was it fun. All kinds of destructibility in the environments, some cheesy, over-the-top storytelling with some great flamboyant and flashy characters. And I am bringing this back up again because Ken Levine, who I've known and have been a friend with since we went out to visit those guys in Boston way back in 2000, 2001, and I've interviewed him several times over the years. He's a wonderful dude, but I just recently posted this again for him to take a look at and get a smile, because we did this crazy, weird video where we dressed up in costumes and pretended to be superheroes. But that really made me reflect on how wonderful Freedom Force is. And in this era, this era where there's just this influx of superhero storytelling all the time in all kinds of media, man, is it time to have an overhead, action, role-playing, strategic experience like Freedom Force was. There was also a killer sequel for this title, and these games would be amazing on a mobile device. I would love to play Freedom Force 1 or 2 on an iPad. That would be great. But come on, 2K, I can't even remember who published these games originally, but I think 2K ended up buying Irrational, so they probably, somebody owns the rights to this damn franchise, and we want more Freedom Force. But until then, Freedom Force qualifies as an excellent buried treasure. Man, that guy is so smart. He's so right. Freedom Force should be on iPads out there. Come on, get with it, 2K and Irrational. That would be incredible. Love that franchise. But right now we're going to talk about another franchise that I have fallen madly in love with. You probably know what that is. The Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild has got some DLC. Here's something I never thought I'd be doing. I'm reviewing DLC for The Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild, my favorite game of all time. But we've got DLC for this thing. There's two different packs that you get when you get the expansion pass. And the first DLC came out a little while ago, and it's okay. It's kind of cool. You get challenged, basically, and you earn some armor and some cool gadgets and stuff. But it's really the second DLC pack, the Champions Ballad, that's the big deal, because we get a little bit more story content. We get to find out a little bit more about Mipha, Urbosa, Rivali, and Daruk, and so you actually get to expand their powers that they gave you if you work your way through the Champions Ballad. And that sounds a little easier than it actually is. You actually get challenged right away. You start off on the plateau just like you did in the original sort of starting of Breath of the Wild, and you get challenged with taking down all of these bad guys without getting killed. So you're going to try that over and over again. It's very tough, but it feels incredible once you get past that, and then you can kind of leave the plateau and go explore a little bit. And basically you're revisiting some of these champions and revisit some of the divine beasts, and you get back into boss fights. But that even sounds easier than it sounds, because you basically have to take photographs of these little hints that you're given, and you have to find where each one of these portals is going to erupt. And then you get a bunch of new shrines that you have to defeat, and the shrines are maybe a touch trickier than the shrines that you'll find through the main game. And it's kind of cool to kind of dive back into this experience and revisit and re-explore some of these shrines. And of course, you're going to find some of the shrines that you may not have picked up when you put your first 100 hours into this experience. And of course, not only do you get to meet all of these champions, but you can also unlock this unbelievably cool motorcycle and race around Hyrule on that. And there's lots of great armor and lots of great, widgets and weapons, and it's just so damn cool. I just am blown away by the depth and the detail and the value, and just getting lost in this experience. I actually hope that Nintendo has more DLC for Breath of the Wild. It's clear that this world, this new Hyrule that they imagined and envisioned for us, is just loaded with all kinds of cool nooks and crannies. I've had a tremendous time with this expansion pass. I can't give it any less than the 10 out of 10 that I gave The Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild. Incredible stuff, Nintendo. You owe it to yourself if you're a fan of this game on the Wii U or the Switch to get that expansion pass. I bet you could have called that one, couldn't you? Yes, I'm so infatuated with Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild, and the DLC is incredible, and I do hope that they come out with more. One thing I didn't really say, I think, in that review is it's almost like you get another sort of mini Zelda game. It's robust. You do a bunch of challenges, and you keep getting new content, which is great. It's really great. Now, this is the part of the show where we do a little bit of streaming of a game. Today it's going to be the Escapists 2, which just came out on the Nintendo Switch. I'm playing it on the PS4, so we'll play a little bit of that. We'll show you some of this game. It's a kind of a smaller indie cool title that Team 17, the Worms folks, have published, and it's all about escaping from prison. So we'll stream a little bit of that, and we will chat. Blake's watching the chat. And remember, if you've got a comment or a question or whatever you want to blast out at us, please do it in all caps so it's easy to see. People were asking, I actually got one question already as I start here, why I was in New Orleans, or New Orleans, I think that's the correct way to say it. It's because we went down there for the Call of Duty World League. They were having the New Orleans Open, and they're sort of working through their season right now. There was the first event was in Dallas just in December there, and then we went to the New Orleans one. And it takes place over a few days, so we got some free time to be able to walk around in the streets of New Orleans and shoot some stuff. And it was such a fun trip, man. Like, the one thing that I really dig about the Call of Duty experience is that it's such a huge game. There's lots of cool ways in to talk about what's happening with that particular brand of esport. And we met some cool people, some families and some competitors and some casters. We're putting together a segment. Blake's editing it now, which will be in an EP live very soon. But let's find out a little bit about the Escapists 2. I didn't play the first one, so this is all kind of new to me. I'm lining up with the other prisoners right now, and I'm getting a... this is my profile. I'm playing a character named Clive. And so I just woke up. It's the beginning of the day, and you're basically plotting how you're going to get out of here. So don't forget your place. They're giving you all kinds of textual information, and I've got to find a place. Oh, somebody's fallen over, and you can loot them. Did somebody fall over, or do I have to punch them? And you pick up gadgets and things like that. So let's go sit down. Okay, is that where I sit down? I don't know. Everybody's sitting down, so I have to find my spot right here. Let's say right there. Am I just choosing? Okay, cool. So I sit down, and we wait for new story sequence content in here to take place. We've got chefs up there. That area is restricted. There's all of these different characters. Okay, so free time can be used to learn guard patterns, gather supplies, craft items, and plan how to escape the prison. So that's the big deal with this game, is that you're trying to figure out where you can go. So it looks like that's the sort of doctor's headquarters in there, the medical area, because I'm sure lots of people get shanked in the escapists. And so I'm cruising around. It's basic free time. I don't have any objectives or anything like that. I'm getting the lay of the land, the lay of this prison. Here is the prison yard. Wow, look at that. There's cots where you can just sort of chill. Okay. There's a book here, I think. Can I pick that up? No. Pardon me. And I can walk around and explore the area. And I'm trying to find weapons and tools, and I can do some crafting. I don't know how fast or slow the game experience is, so I don't know if I'm going to actually be able to accomplish anything. But there are things... Okay, here we go. So I'll take all of the stuff in there, and then I think I can craft. Let's see. Yeah, I've got a few things I can craft. So in this area, where do I go? Oh, it'll probably highlight. It'll probably light up for me here. No, can't do that. Okay, let's do it again. Crafting. Anything in here? No. So I need these objects. I can create a shank. Look at that. So maybe I should go break some glass, maybe? Oh, I can loot other people's desks. Oh, look at that. Getting some very useful content. Okay, or useful items. Here we go. Let's see if I can build anything now.
Okay.
Yep.
Paladin 1 wants to know if Wind Waker is going to come to the Switch.
I think Nintendo's going to do something special with Zelda. I think they might do like a collection or something like that. How long has Zelda been around now? Are we in their 30? So we're just past 30. Maybe for 35, they will do some kind of big collection. They're probably planning all of that stuff right now.
And then also for Wind Waker,
yeah.
GameCube games are supposed to be coming to the Switch via the Virtual Console in a couple months.
Right. That's right, yes. We are supposed to be getting a virtual console of GameCube titles soon. So I don't have the gadgets to. Okay, so maybe I can go into here. Ooh, I don't want to go underneath. I want to go in, and I can throw in some stuff. So I don't need energy drinks. I don't need a book component. I don't need a lump of sugar. Let's keep the toothpaste going, and let's go loot some more desks. Nope. Let's see. No, I want to loot it. Open it up. What's in there? Yes, we want more duct tape and wire. Very important. And so you can highlight what is in your hand. You probably don't want to be walking around with a tool. Oh, this cop is telling me to get out of there. That's not a good idea to get the guards pissed at you. I do have a yellow. Oh, he's watching me now. Okay, he's angry. He's got a shotgun. You don't want to get the guards angry at you. Okay, so I'm supposed to sit down for lunch here. Where am I? Uh-oh, oh no! I think I'm screwed. Just by going into I'm dead. Okay. So what happens now? Is it game over? I don't know what happens now. Did I pause the film? Okay, so they throw me in the infirmary. Okay, when a character's health reaches 0, they will be taken to the infirmary by a medic. Staying in bed will quickly return you to full health. Okay, all right, okay. Not so bad. I guess if they shoot me, I'm done for. But I'm okay right now. I've got a yellow arrow up there telling me my objective is to cruise over to an area over here. Let's see what's cooking up this way.
Here's a good question.
Yeah.
Kirk Atkins noticed that Far Cry 5 wasn't on the best of list yesterday.
Right.
What do you think about Far Cry 5?
I am super psyched for it, and I can't wait to get lost in the thing. I think it just was a matter of the list was getting super big. I mean, that's really what it is. Like, I had a blast when I was at the last preview event. Super fun. Maybe it's a question of it's maybe a little too soon for a new Far Cry, but we'll see. We'll see when it comes out, you know. It's definitely addictive. Already what I've played, I really had a good time with it. Okay, so what am I trying to do here? Sit down, let's see. Oh, okay, so I'm talking to a guy, all right. Can't hack it. What is this, a counselor? I love that it's a complicated game. This is, you know, a cutesy kind of simulation, but there's a lot going on here. Bert and Pierre asked me, good afternoon, what games are you most looking forward to this year? We made a huge video. Johnny Millennium was on the show yesterday, and we made a huge video talking about all kinds of awesome stuff. So the short answer is watch that video. You're gonna learn a lot. It's gonna be a great year, man. And holy crap, was 2017 incredible. So you know, now 2018 has got a lot to live up to, but there's gonna be some big titles out this year for sure. I can't wait to be you know, sort of informed of all the surprises at E3 this year. I'm really looking forward to that. I'm honestly looking forward to you know, what the Xbox One X is fully capable of with some software we've never heard of. I definitely want to see a lot of publishers say, okay, well, the Switch actually did sell really well. Let's support it. So we'll see a whole bunch of surprises there. And PlayStation, I think, has already announced an incredible 2018 with the titles that they have. So it's going to be good. Okay, I don't really know. I guess I'm talking to these people and they give me stuff. Okay, all right, okay, I get it. Oh, I can buy it for money, but I have 10... Okay, it's shower time. Okay, so basically the yellow arrow icon is telling me, guiding me to things where I should be, where I'm expected to be. So look, there's whole shower sequences in here. That's hilarious. Nobody gets nude. These are never nudes. Everybody's got their clothes on. Okay. That's hilarious.
We got a birthday shout out.
Oh, yeah?
Ungar Plays.
Oh, it's Ungar Plays' birthday today. Everybody, let's sing happy birthday. Oh, it was yesterday. Okay. Should we all sing happy birthday? Actually, we can't because it'll get flagged, right? That's crazy. Happy birthday, Hunger Bar Plays. All right, this person is running away with something. Oh, they're getting into a fight. Oh, that's crazy. So there's all of these AI sort of elements happening that are completely of their own accord. Funzo. That's hilarious. We used to call Enzo Funzo. Okay, so I've got two paintbrushes in my pockets. Okay. Okay, I've got a paintbrush. What can I do with it? I need the right key card here. Okay. So it kind of takes me back to a little Metal Gear Solid back in the NES days and the PlayStation 1 days. It's definitely cuter. The aesthetic is cuter, but the sort of stealthy survivalist crafting kind of components of this are really cool. This is going to be a cool Switch game. I can feel it. Like, you're going to want to be able to do this stuff while you're on, plane rides and things. All right, so Batwing has joined the game. Okay, let's see what's going on here. I've got half of a star on my... Oh, I think that's because the cops have been alerted. Okay, I don't know if I'm supposed to be out there or not. Okay. Oh, there's instruments that you can... pretty cool. Pretty complicated prisons. I guess that's part of the idea is... okay, so I can strength, fitness, and intellect make up your character's stats. So I can... oh, I see. It's all meter-based. If I keep it in there... If I keep it in the sweet spot right here, I'm learning as we go. But I'm losing some energy because I haven't really eaten or anything. Just go do that. Okay, so I just went up 5 points in intellect by reading in the library, which is pretty cool. Has anybody played this game or seen this game? If anybody's got tips or things that they think I should be doing, let us know. But I thought it'd be interesting, right? Like, that's one of the things that I want to do with the streaming segment is not just go for PUBG every time. Let's look at some other things, So there's baseballs that we could use as weapons. Okay, mugs. I know that I can take a sheet, but I guess I shouldn't take somebody else's. Oh, they're fighting up there. There's some shanking going on. Okay. These cutesy little prison characters, man. What are we going to take? We are going to take... ooh, there's a sheet of metal. And we are going to take a broom as well. And, okay, my hand's full. Like, I shouldn't walk around with this sheet of metal. Let's take that down. Okay. So I've got my toothpaste. It's pretty cool. These characters don't all get along. All right. What is this machine over there? I can't go in there.
Pharaoh81 wants to know if there are plans to stream retro games.
Yep. I actually bought a... I didn't tell you this, Blake, but I bought a little device that will allow us to plug in Super Nintendos and 3DOs and N64s through... oop, this guy's going to... Where's my thing? Through the device, and then the device will patch into HDMI, so we'll be taking a look at some of those old classics for sure. I forget where my... I've got a couple of information pieces here. Let's see what these things... Oh, it's a payphone. Okay. Oh, my home cell is right here. So I can rest for a bit. Okay. I've taken everything out of my desk. Let's go take something out of... Oh, I don't have any space. Okay, gotcha. So I've only got 5 or 6 slots in my inventory. Let's remove some of these things with the toothpaste. Wire paintbrush. Okay, let's see if... Actually, I'm going to see if I can make some... Well, let's see what I should make here. So... Oh, okay, I've got a duct tape. I don't have a flimsy shovel. Don't have a framed photo. I need to get a glass shank. What is this? Cutting floss tool. It's in the 30 plus here, okay. So these are the different weapons that I can build, and the different tools that I can build. Okay. Oh, and there's some stuff that's hidden. Okay. What's in here? Let us see. I've got toothpaste. No, that's glue. Okay. Oh, it's lights out. Damn it. Go back. Okay, everybody in. Okay. If all players decide to sleep at night, okay, dogs are released at the security level of the prison increases. Dogs can track inmates and can... Oh, come on, I'm about to go to sleep. Oh, no. So I'm dead. Okay. It's my first time playing this level. Okay, so we're going to go back to the infirmary. I think I'm going to be... Uh-oh, I need punishing. Are they not taking care of me? Where are they doing? Oh no, they're putting me in a solitary confinement. Oh my God, this is so depressing. This game. When caught doing something against the rules, prisoners will be sent to solitary. So I've got 50 seconds of solitary confinement. Man, this is a game that will have you really thinking about your choices. That's hilarious. Oh, I can peel potatoes. It's illegal in Canada?
The Supreme Court just declared it unconstitutional.
Oh wow! Yeah, there was that case in Manitoba of the guy that was stuck in confinement for way too long, right? Yeah. Okay, so attack, block, toggle targets. Okay, so I'll go back in here. So this has got to be locked. Oh, it's not locked. Interesting. Oh, okay. Don't beat up the guards with your bare fist. You got to go and try to make a weapon of some kind. This person is taking me to the infirmary. I am definitely hurt. Let's see.
Oh, here's a good one.
Okay.
Lance Lightbike wants to know, what's your favorite movie theater in Vancouver?
Ah, that is good. We see a lot of movies at the Tinseltown. I don't know what it's called, Cineplex Tinseltown, which is sort of not far from the Gastown area of the city. It's not the greatest screens, not the greatest fidelity, but the access is great, and it's not usually that busy there, and it's very easy for us to get to that theater. So I dig that quite a bit. I've been impressed by the Fifth Avenue Theater that's on in the sort of middle of Kitsilano or near Kitsilano in Vancouver. Good screens and extra service. It's an 18 only theater, which is interesting because they serve alcohol and they have some pretty cool flicks there too. They tend to go for a lot of indie and sophisticated movies. Good question. But in terms of seeing movies abroad, because I tend to, when I'm in a city for a while or whatever, I end up going to movies all the time. I love seeing movies in LA because, well, the ArcLight Theater in Hollywood is incredible, but all of the theater screens, the movie-going experience in the States is vastly different than it is in Canada. The audio is usually louder, and the people are more into it. And if you're going to movies in Los Angeles, a lot of people work in the industry, so it's always an interesting experience. Sometimes I haven't personally seen, famous people that have showed up to like regular screenings or something like that. I've been to a couple of screenings where famous people have attended, but that that possibility is always available, right? When you see movies down south. So if you are ever looking to kill a little bit of time and you're in LA, I recommend going to check out a movie. And you'll notice, if you're not from the area, you'll notice that it's quite different down there. All right, let's see. Oh, now we're talking. Now I'm going to be able to do some damage. I don't know how much killing you want to do in the Escapists, though. I think the idea is to not stand out and just get the job done of getting out of the thing. Okay, let's see if I can craft anything. There are lots of little ingredients that you gotta pick up. None of those. Nope, none of those. I know I'm doing something wrong. I played the tutorial and it was pretty straightforward. Look, I'm getting beat up. Why? What did I do? He broke his baton on my head. I am clearly not playing this right. I keep getting damaged. And they found contraband. Oh no, they're putting me in solitary again. That's got to be some kind of record. I've been playing this game for less than 15 minutes, and I've been stuck in solitary twice. Actually, it looks like the alarm is just about to go off right here, which I think is good. I think that's all right. So there is a tiny little taste of a game called The Escapists 2. I have begun my journey into this game. I think I'm probably going to play this on the Switch because this feels like one of those strategic type of experiences where you want to walk away with it. But I dig it so far. So far, it's pretty damn cool. I also am very, very happy that you joined us today. Remember, if you're watching this as an archive, we have a live show that we're doing at 1:30 p.m. PST, the Pacific Standard Time, 4:30 Eastern Standard Time, and we would love for you to join us and love for you to participate in the chat and get to know the other viewers that are tuning in on a regular basis. It is incredible to be able to make content like this and have you guys be here with us, which is so cool. We are going to be back tomorrow with a brand new EP Live, and we've got some pretty cool things going on. I'm going to have in studio Danny Mack, who is the writer and star and director of Heel Kick, which is a movie that our buddy Greg Miller produced, and it's all about the wrestling world. So he's going to be in studio with me, and we're also going to be Skyping with Tim Kitzrow and Michael Mindheim, who are makers of Tim Kitzrow, you've heard his voice in a million games like NBA Jam and NFL Blitz and stuff. But Michael has brought out Mutant Football League, so we're going to be talking about the game and also a little bit of Tim's career. I can't wait for that, and I can't wait to have you guys join us. But thank you so much, everybody. Have yourselves a great evening. We'll see you tomorrow.